Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a martial art and combat sport based on grappling and ground fighting. Jiu-Jitsu means gentle art, but it feels anything but gentle to a newcomer. Trust me. This martial art is catching people's attention nationwide, and it's not just men who are becoming obsessed. Across the country, women are showing up to classes and competitions, earning advanced belts, and changing the future of the sport.
I started in fitness kickboxing, actually straight out of college to lose some weight. I saw this 130-pound blue belt chick, and she was just destroying guys twice her size, and I just wanted to be like that.
I wanted to do something that was a little wild.
I started with boxing. Actually, I was inspired by watching some movies, and I just was terrible at boxing. I was not very coordinated, and a friend of mine had suggested that I try ground wrestling.
I come from a judo background, so I wanted to find another sport that was similar to it, but wasn't exactly the same. I was very disenchanted with judo. And then I remember seeing jiu-jitsu when I did judo and being like, I don't want to do that, ground stuff, stupid. And then it ended up being the thing that I love most.
I started because my now husband has been doing it for 7 years. And yeah, kept saying come do it with me, it's gonna be awesome. Kept trying year after year. I just didn't believe him that I would like it, I guess. Once I really started coming consistently, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what he was talking about.
My husband is the one that got me into it. He is our black belt here. So we gave jiu-jitsu a try, and I hated it. I was like, this is so dumb. And then I forced myself to do it for the first few weeks. I got over that first initial hump of, I hate this, and then the addiction set in.
My husband started training. He was like, they do a free month, just give it a try. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna suffer through this. I'm gonna go to 2 classes a week, and then I'm gonna be done forever. And instead, I train more than he does now.
I started my jiu-jitsu journey when I was 9, and I come from Lithuania. My dad being afraid for me, growing up as an immigrant and not having full sense of the language and full sense of the culture, he wanted me to kind of excel and stand on my own 2 feet. So he's the one that introduced me to the world of martial arts. And even though I hated it for a really long time, it's become something that is absolutely inseparable to my identity. I'd say it's something that I'm married to and I never plan to let go of.
I was traveling at that time. It was right after college, and my dad was a little concerned. He knew he wasn't able to tell me, you can't travel. But he said, you need to learn self-defense. There was a jiu-jitsu class. And so I thought, I'll try it. I stepped on the mat and, didn't leave, basically. And here I am, 13 years later.
I was really, really competitive, and I never had an outlet that let me be as competitive as I wanted to be. I'm from Iowa, it's a huge wrestling state, but it's kind of frowned upon for girls to do wrestling.
I always wanted to do karate, and my mom's like, no, you can't do that, it's for boys. So when I became an adult, I was like, this is a martial art, I'm gonna do it, and I put my heart and soul in it, and I'm good at it, and I love it.
Actually, my daughter was doing jiu-jitsu, and I was here, watching her.
My kids did jiu-jitsu, and it was I kept showing up all the time, taking my kids, and I was like, this kind of looks fun.
I was always kind of curious about it. My older brother, he was the first one very, very, very in love with jiu-jitsu. But then he died 2 years before, and then I started thinking about it. My younger sister, she kept bothering me, let's go, let's try. And I was like, I would never try jiu-jitsu, these people smell bad, blah, 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 blah. But one day I went with her, after 2 weeks, and I fell in love with my first class. I feel myself for the very first time.
One time I went to a tournament to watch a friend, and then was my first time watching jiu-jitsu too. That was on Sunday, and then Monday I was in the academy training.
These Jiujiteiras are self-possessed, confident, and courageous. What I want to know is, are extraordinary women simply drawn to jiu-jitsu? Or does jiu-jitsu somehow sculpt extraordinary women? My name is Andrea Hixson. I have no background in martial arts or combat sports, or really in engaging in conflict of any kind. I travel the country full-time with my husband Tyler, who has been training jiu-jitsu for about a year and just earned his blue belt. I'm a pretty quiet and shy person, I have my share of insecurities and low self-esteem, and I cry a lot. I'm honestly pretty scared to start training jiu-jitsu, but I want to learn self-defense, and I've always wanted to be more self-possessed, confident, and courageous. So, I'm going to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I guess I'm doing Jiu-Jitsu. I'm not brand new. I have taken 5 or 6 classes over the last few months. I think I've just kind of decided I'm sick of half-assing it. Like, I think Jiu-Jitsu would be a really cool thing for me. It feels so different from anything that I've done in my life, and I think it's time to go for it. We're here in Florida training at Gracie Bradenton, and I've gone to 2 of their women's classes, and I've kind of noticed this over the last few months. Every time I have a class coming up, every time I'm getting ready for a class, I don't want to go. I hate getting ready to go for a class, and once I come home from the class, I'm stoked. I'm excited. I've had a great time. It's so much fun. And so I'm hoping to build up that momentum a little bit by going more often and just saying, okay, let's go head first into this jiu-jitsu journey, and I'm gonna do jiu-jitsu.
You know, when you first start, especially if you started as an adult, we get used to being in charge and knowing what we can do. In society, we don't lay on the ground. We don't move around on the ground. We're not rolling around, and we're not physically like just grappling with people, especially American culture. No, you're like a hand's length. But I think for both men and women, starting something so foreign to what we do in our everyday lives is intimidating.
We know that most of people quit as a white belt. That time between white belt and blue belt is the hardest time.
It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to be a smaller person or a woman and be underneath a 200-pound man, right? Or to be rolling with someone who is really good and you're really not, and they just prove to you how not good you are.
It's confrontational. Most people don't like confrontation.
It can be very discouraging. When you go in, you're just, especially in the beginning, you're getting beat up all the time.
It honestly is a really defeating sport when you first start out, because you learn by failing.
Today, the class was a kind of competition training thing, so they did matches where everybody else watches. So it wasn't a class, it was competition training, and it was approached nicely. The instructor rolled with me and was very gentle and all of that, and was just trying to kind of see where I was at, but in front of everybody. I think my biggest fear with jiu-jitsu is like this. Like, I'm super emotional and I have no idea why. I felt this even just like rolling with Tyler. I don't know why. I just want to start crying in the middle of a roll. Something about that feeling of like not knowing what to do, not having control over your body, not just being stuck. It sucks. And even with Tyler, who we've been together for almost 9 years, I trust him entirely. So why am I why am I crying? I don't know. I'm so afraid of being that woman, to prove that we're not strong, that we can't do things like this. But just because I'm emotional doesn't mean I can't do it. Just because I'm crying right now doesn't mean I'm not going to go back and do it again and get stronger. I really think I'm going to get to a place where this overwhelming feeling doesn't happen, because I'm going to be strong enough and confident enough and capable enough that I can handle anything, and it's just a part of life.
I've many times I've got smashed on the mat and ran to the bathroom and just cried. I'm like, okay, wipe your tears and get back out there.
We'd be doing live rounds, I'd be 2 in, the bell would ring and I would have to speed off the mat and go lock myself in the locker room and just like cry for a minute. I'm like, what am I doing here? I don't want to come back, but I always came back.
I don't know how many times I have cried on the mat. It happened, but I'm still there, I'm still showing up and try to deal with my own struggles.
I mean, we tell our people you can cry through a round if you want to. Like, at least most of the women have cried through a roll in this gym. You know, like you check on your partner, are you okay? Do you want to keep rolling? And then you just keep going.
There is an emotional release because of jiu-jitsu. Like they say, the mats don't lie. You got to fight through it. And some days it's just fighting through the crying. I've probably seen at least 25 of my girls just cry on the mats. Whether it was something that was jiu-jitsu related, whether it was life and it just all came out on the mats.
It brings out a real like fear, like someone's attacking me and I'm like, and I don't know what to do. And I'm realizing I can't defend myself. And like that feeling of getting overpowered by a person, that's a terrifying feeling that can bring up, whether you're like actually upset or if it's just bringing up emotions in you, it's going to happen. It's very natural. I don't think there's anything to be embarrassed, but I cry all the time when I'm embarrassed. I'm like, yeah, what?
You know, if you panic or you get upset or something happens, you know, you're feeling that for a reason and it's good to bring that out. And how you conquer it and how you get over it and how you approach it, you know, is amazing to the growth, you know, that you make from doing jiu-jitsu. So it's all those moments and you add them together and it makes you a stronger person. So it's okay to have those moments. I think everybody has. Okay. My goal is to hold it together and not cry in class. So far, so good. I did 3 rolls tonight, which is a lot for me, and I was just dead all night. It's exhausting, and I think that exhaustion is really part of what feeds into that feeling of overwhelm. I had one moment where I had a plan of something to do, and I executed it. That was very exciting. I had one moment where I had a plan and I executed it. And man, that's addicting. I want to do that so much more. It was really fun. And I also rolled with my instructor, Kate, who is fantastic to roll with. Basically what happened was she put me in the same submission that I had gotten tapped with and then showed me 2 different ways to get out of it. And that's just kind of like how we rolled. She would submit me and then show me how to get out of it. And that is just priceless, but it's also so much information. Like doing one roll with her, I got 4 new things that now I have to try to remember, and it all happened so fast. It's so addicting to try to hold on to all of those little puzzle pieces so that you can fit them together later. It was a really good night. It was really fun. So mad because I learned so many things in my rolls last night quickly, and then I reviewed them with Tyler this morning and got them more cemented, and then as soon as we started actually rolling, I didn't do any of it. Like none of it stuck. I didn't try any of that new stuff. I was just back to my same old bullshit, trying the exact same things to escape like the whole time. And then we get out of there and I'm just like, oh my god, how did I not? Like I'm reflecting and seeing like, oh, I should have done this here, I should have tried this here, and it's like, why didn't I do that? Like we literally just went over it. I went harder tonight than I have gone before, so I was really working on kind of taking pressure from people and like not necessarily giving up, I guess, when something sucked. You know, if I was in a compromised position, I knew I was going to be tapping soon, how long can I make the other person work for it? And that felt really good. That felt like a big milestone for me. I feel like a lot of times it's so easy when you get into those positions where you're like on the edge of being choked and you start to feel that you kind of like panic and you just forget what to do and you know you're going to tap and so you just tap. But I felt really proud that I was able to get just like a couple more steps in, you know, to make her work for it a little bit more before before I had to tap. So that felt like a milestone. I'm very proud of that.
You need to be able to say, I need to fight hard and fight back. And I think it's harder for women to get there. And I think I had a little bit of that too. And I can remember days in my journey where I finally was like, I fought really hard. And I think that getting to that plateau of fighting really hard will get you to another level of understanding yourself.
People who don't know anything about Jiu-Jitsu may see that it's so tough and it's aggressive, but you can still be feminine in Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I like to change my rash guards. I'll get bright colored spats. You know, I keep my nails done. And so I think you can be aggressive and you can be strong, you can still be feminine.
I have women all the time and I tell them like, and it's usually the smaller ones, and I'm like, you're so fragile and precious. One day you're just gonna snap. Like, you're gonna get tired of people pushing you around and you're gonna see that you have all the skills and you're gonna flip that switch. And then you're never gonna turn it off.
There's a breaking point and they will surpass it, but it's usually like the first like 15 classes at least. And then they start to get into it and like, wow, I like this. Yeah, like that, like yes.
So I went the hardest that I've gone at Jiu-Jitsu last night, and today I am covered in bruises, which is new for me, but I've got bruises all over my arms, on my chest, and on my legs. So that's new, that's fun.
No-gi school, you gotta come up with different solutions. There you go. Prize number 1. Congratulations.
Hey.
Tonight was my last night here at Gracie Bradenton, and it was a pretty good night. I'm definitely tired, but I still had fun rolling with the women that I got to know here at Gracie Bradenton, and I'm gonna miss them. It's really cool how quickly you form bonds with the other women at Jiu-Jitsu, because there's a ton of guys, and there's maybe 2 other women, and that means that you stick together. I really had a great month here. So we are in Tucson, Arizona. Today is New Year's Eve, and we just went to an open mat at 10th Planet Tucson here. There weren't that many people there at first, so Tyler and I just started working together a little bit, but I froze up. I entirely froze up. That was really tough. I completely lost all my confidence that I had built up at Gracie Bradenton. And then so when the other women walked in, I had absolutely no confidence and did not ask any of them to roll with me. There were 3 women there today, so I'm pretty disappointed in that. You know, I was so disappointed in myself from the open mat on Friday. So I did 3 rolls tonight with 3 different women. I mean, I think I just went into it with like, what's the worst that could happen? They were all upper belts. They weren't even submitting me. I'm not gonna break anything. I'm not gonna pass out. So the worst thing that's gonna happen is that it's gonna suck. But I need it to suck, and even I want it to suck, because that's what I have to go through to be able to handle it. I really think that mindset is going to be helpful, of just like going in and saying, I need this to suck, and going for it. Honestly, I'm just having so much fun now. I have met so many amazing women here. I think I've met like 6 or 7 women already, and I've gone 3 times. It's not just that there are so many women, it's that like every woman that I have met has been incredibly welcoming and supportive, and just like wanting to help me on my journey and like just be there for me.
Jiu-Jitsu is mentally hard, especially as a female coming in here rolling with dudes. It's not the easiest, so having like that group that's going through the same thing, it's just a bond that you're not going to find anywhere else.
The men are also supportive too, but being a woman in Jiu-Jitsu it's still a little bit different. Just the support you get from the other women, even if it's like somebody from a totally different gym, they've never met you before, they're just super friendly to you and always really nice, and it's just kind of good to be around that.
I've been having my ups and downs with jiu-jitsu lately. Last night I had like a not as good night. I had a roll with a guy who I feel like my technique is at a higher level than his, just, you know, seeing him with other people and through class and stuff like that. And even rolling with him, I see holes where I know what to do there, but it didn't matter. Like, none of that mattered because he's stronger than me, and that is so frustrating.
Men are very, very strong. There is a difference there. There will always be a difference. So, like, even my husband, like Milton, like, we're very close in size. Even if we go like head to head, like, he is always going to outstrength me. So for me, it's like the little wins that matter. For sure, I know he will win majority of the time, but if I can get like a quick guard pass on him and I see his little eyes wide and I'm like, okay, like I won. Like, I don't even care if you tap me. Like, I know I got you there.
We don't have the luxury of strength. So we have to be that much more technical, that much more clever, and execute it perfectly. I mean, it's so satisfying when you can. We've had guys come in and they're, you know, these wrestling type guys, and you know, I can put them in a triangle and they can't get out despite their best efforts, and you know, they can lift like 400 pounds and, you know, do all that. But it's taken having to have guys try to outpower me to make me a smarter grappler.
I will revisit actually a friend of mine in Lithuania. His name is Donatas Ukveris, and when I would go back to Lithuania to teach seminars, I would sometimes, not all the time, encounter guys that were very questioning and very authoritative of my jiu-jitsu. And he said that women were actually the ones that were working the hardest in jiu-jitsu and were outworking the guys because of the nature of the way that they were built. So if you're training with a woman as a man and you have those biological advantages, but she is still able to take you where she needs to go with her technique, that means that she knows how to use the technique not only against technique, but also against size, against these other outstanding factors.
As women, we don't have that advantage of like being the strongest person in the room. So we have to use technique, and it has to be pitch perfect. Like, we have to make sure that we're doing it exactly correctly if we want to be able to have it work for us. So I actually find that if you have a day one male white belt and a day one female white belt, technique-wise, she's going to excel much faster because she has to.
This is one of those things where it's like, especially white belt, you come in day after day, get your ass kicked. You think you're getting better, which you are, you don't realize it. You don't realize, you know, and I realized like towards the end of the white belt, it's like, celebrate the little victories. And that's what I'm learning, not just in jiu-jitsu, not on these mats, but just in life. And it's like, why are you so goddamn hard on yourself, dude? Like, you're a badass.
It's really easy to get down on myself, to just kind of feel like, why am I not stronger? Why do I not have better stamina? Why am I not able to do the things that I've learned in class, to implement them in the roles, to think quicker, to make choices faster, see things coming and things like that, and just like especially all these things that I've learned and have not been able to implement. Man, it's so defeating. Like, I'm not winning. There's no winning, right? That's, I think, how you usually judge if you're doing well. Am I winning? But I've been really trying to think about like, okay, well, what did I actually do in this role? And so like that role with the guy who I felt like I wasn't able to do anything with because he's so much stronger than me, I realized not only was I never submitted, but I was never mounted or put inside control. I think jiu-jitsu is definitely an emotional roller coaster. And at the beginning, it feels like it's mostly downs, but I am really enjoying finding those little victories for myself. Those are the wins right now. So Tyler and I went to a competition last night, a jiu-jitsu competition. A ton of the 10th Planet athletes were competing because it is a competition that's run by the owners of 10th Planet Tucson. So it's called Bullpen Submission Series. And I had wanted to go to a competition because it's just such a big part of the culture here at 10th Planet Tucson. Like, it's very competition oriented, and so many of the people who go to this gym compete. So it's very big here. And then because of our video background, we actually got to do the live stream for their YouTube channel, which was really fun.
Ooh, it looks like it's coming out. It's in, it's in, it's in. Is she gonna tap? Is she coming out? Are we gonna see a normal plot? No. Oh, she pulled her arm back. She has her wrist.
It was so cool to see all these people that I know and have seen in class and just, you know, kind of live rolling after class, take what I already thought was amazing and just like bump it up even more intense, even harder, and just to see what these guys can really do. Just some of the things that they withstood and got out of and did to people. I mean, it was so intense.
Itzayana's really cranking on that. Rose is fighting though. Let's see.
I'm not sure if Rose is used to this type of submission. This one would be a little bit different than the norm, so but she uses that to her advantage.
The backside triangle is now locked in. Rose is a tough cookie.
She's doing a very good job defending today.
Oh, she got the far side Kimura.
I'm looking back at the video of the submission, and it's like, yeah, I didn't win. But at the same time, I dodged so much. Like, she had me, oh my God, in so many deep positions, so many. But I also like worked my way out, and it's like, dude, celebrate that.
When I was involved in competition, when I was competing too, you know, of course I was more like into competition, you know. Today, I open up a little bit my mind about like that I have to teach jiu-jitsu for everybody, you know. I still looking to put all my students on competition, especially the young ones, because I think competition teaches us a lot about fall, you know, and about, how I say, failures, and about everything, you know, about to be strong, about to be brave, and about to be humble, about respect, you know. I always tell the kids and I say, you should compete at least for one time. If you don't like it, that's fine, you don't have to go again, but you should try to see if you like or not.
I tell everybody, I don't care if you only do it once, do it. I think everybody should compete. First and foremost, because of the growth factor. If you're looking at it from a purely jiu-jitsu standpoint, every competition is worth at least 3 months of training. In a jiu-jitsu academy, you're always rolling with the same people. Whereas when you're at a competition, you may not know their game, they may not know yours, there's gonna be new scenarios, they're out there to win it. You learn so much.
Competing is hard, competing is stressful, competing is very scary. It's going to bring up a lot of emotion, and it's going to bring up a lot of adrenaline. And I always think doing hard things brings amazing results. And you could go out there and get tapped like that, but the fact that you went out there and you did that brave thing and overcame your nerves, that's only going to be good for you. It's going to be character building, and it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to make your jiu-jitsu better. It can just make you kind of more resilient as a person.
I'm gonna be really honest. I don't think that competitive jiu-jitsu is like jiu-jitsu in its purest form. It will make you tougher, for sure. You will have to put yourself in these like very high emotion scenarios and have to learn how to regulate your emotions because of that. But at the same time, like, it can become overbearing. And when you start to associate your self-worth with a medal, or you just having a win, or having your coach's approval or the audience's approval, then it's a very slippery slope into losing yourself. In terms of people just having jiu-jitsu as a hobby, showing up once or twice a week, like, good for you. Like, just including it in your life is already such a huge step, because why the fuck would anyone want to do this sport? It's so weird and crazy, and like, it just crosses all the most uncomfortable barriers you may have in your life. So already, like, deciding to enter the community is a huge step and is something to be celebrated.
I feel when you compete, maybe jiu-jitsu is like 1 hour competition works as 40 hours of training at the gym, because you see yourself, you see what you could work done, you see what we can get better at. You see, like, oh, I went compete and my guard passed like 10 times. Oh, I'm gonna work on my guard. That's something, even if it's just a hobby or whatever your goal in jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu competition help on that, you know, but not that you have to. You're still gonna learn. Everybody who's compete, the dream, the biggest like achievement is being a world champion. But I was done. I really felt like it was the time to have my kid. I want to be a mom. And Michael was, no, let's wait until you're world champion. But it was my time. I was ready for it, you know, and I was like, nope, I want it now. Okay, I had her, and a few months after, 2 months after I had her, I started training again. I think she was 6, 7 months when I won pants. I had no idea that was possible, you know. I just tried my best and I won. After pants, my mindset changed a little bit. If I won pants with being out of training forever, I feel like forever, almost a year through the pregnancy and after. So then I was like, no, I'm gonna be a world champion after.
Yep, and it's unanimous. Karen Antonez, your 2018 women's featherweight IBJJF world champion.
And before that, every other woman that I knew, when they started family, they stopped competing, because you know the price you had to pay to be able to compete on this level. So I think after I did, like, they saw me with the baby on the podium, I think I got like I would say thousands of messages of women that trained jiu-jitsu and was like, I thought my life would be done competing, but you don't have to. You can adjust. It's gonna be harder for sure. It's really hard, but it's worth it. It's how much you wanna sacrifice to accomplish that. And if I sacrifice jiu-jitsu, I won't be myself. And if I'm not myself, how am I gonna be a good mom? So I need this. It's part of my life to be a better person, to be a better wife, mother, and coach, whatever. So I can't give up. Not yet.
Well, today is our last day in Tucson. We have been here for about 2 months, and it's been really great. I'm actually pretty sad to be going. It's been a lot of fun. Okay, well, we are in another new city and at another new gym. And I went to my first class tonight. It was a gi class, which was interesting, and I got tripped up a lot more than usual because they can just hold on to you with those gi holds that I'm not familiar with. But it was such a great time. I've started to notice I've been getting kind of, I don't know, maybe like settling into a rhythm that I'm not super happy with, of just wanting to go to jiu-jitsu like once a week max. And we had to do that for a little bit because of work, but I don't want to stay there. And I'm discovering I'm having this feeling again, like I've had before, of just really not wanting to show up to jiu-jitsu. I just, like, that time comes around and I just would rather do anything but go. I get this pit in my stomach and I just don't want to go. I found myself thinking that there's this part of me that just wishes I didn't even know about jiu-jitsu, that I just never heard of it, I never found out, because then I wouldn't have to go. And then I realized that that's why I keep showing up, because I know that it's good for me. I know the benefits of jiu-jitsu. It's factual. It's right there. It's the self-defense. I mean, that is undeniable. Getting more comfortable in your own body, just the fitness aspect of it, getting stronger mentally and physically. I feel less averse to conflict. I feel less afraid of people. I can't look at that list of benefits and say that my comfort outweighs that. So I did my last interview a couple days ago, and I was feeling really positive. You know, I had thought about all those concepts so much, and I had really gotten my mind to a place where everything made sense, and I felt really good. And so I was feeling really positive when I did that interview. But I don't know that that level of confidence is like necessarily where I'm really at right now. I am incredibly embarrassed about how difficult it is for me to just show up to do jiu-jitsu. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know because I've talked to other people that are like, yeah, I still have to drag myself to jiu-jitsu. But like, when you're talking to all these, you know, purple belts and up, it just seems like it's easy for them. Or maybe it's a level of obsession with it that I don't have, you know, just wanting to be there every day.
I'd like to say that, you know, you always have this love for jiu-jitsu when you find it. You're always going to be in love with it, but you don't. There's always going to be ups and downs, but you're continually learning, I think, with jiu-jitsu. You're learning not just about things on the mat, but you're learning a ton about yourself.
Even, you know, this far along as I'm a brown belt, you know, and I still go through those, you know, waves as well of, oh my God, I hate it today, or I just feel like I really suck these past few weeks, and then, you know, you hit a new peak and valley, and it's all the same in life.
Every time I would leave, I'd be like, yeah, that was super fun. Like, yeah, I enjoyed that. But every time going, it was like, okay, like, I'm gonna go to jiu-jitsu today. I'm gonna do it. And it was like working myself up, like those like first day of school nerves almost.
I didn't know how to shrimp. I didn't know front rolls. I didn't know back rolls, you know. I was always the last one on the warm-up drills. And so, you know, a lot of times I was always like, why don't I just quit? Why don't I just quit? But, you know, you start kind of seeing progress, and you start seeing, oh, I'm doing something that I wasn't able to do, you know, a little while later.
I quit as a white belt. I was burned out, I wasn't getting any better. I didn't realize as a white belt that people are training just as hard as I am. Like, I'm training with these people every day, so they're getting good too. I couldn't see that. All I could see was the stuff I messed up. And I had a team member reach out to me and be like, where did you go? And I was like, I quit. I didn't think anyone would notice. And they're like, no, come back. Like, get back on the mat, let's work through it. And I think that was the difference.
When I wanted to quit jiu-jitsu, one of my really long-time coaches, who's JT Torres, JT just told me to keep it in my life, whether that meant like training a day or 2 or 3, or just bare minimum to keep myself in it. And I've reiterated this advice to my own students because I know that life can get overwhelming, and sometimes jiu-jitsu is the overwhelming thing. Sometimes it is a thing that we want to avoid. It's fine to take breaks, but like, if you are sticking through with it, you should just kind of like commit yourself in any way possible, but don't give yourself these crazy expectations that someone else might have created for you because they see something for you that you don't see for yourself.
So yeah, I don't want to pretend like I'm doing all great right now and I've got it all figured out. I am struggling to show up to class. I'm making myself do it, and it's really hard. And we're about to go to this camp tomorrow, which is honestly terrifying. And I am deciding to just sign myself up for so much more of all of this. So yeah, I'm freaking out a little bit. Well, I did it. I went to Midwest training camp and I made it out alive. I was so nervous going into that, and it wasn't for no reason. I mean, this camp really pushed on all of my insecurities and all of my weaknesses and everything that's really difficult for me to kind of cope with. I forced myself to introduce myself to all the women there. I forced myself to have a new training partner for every session. And I showed up and I rolled as much as I felt I could. I really showed up and I really pushed myself to go far beyond my comfort zone and make the most of that camp. I was feeling so down and so much like I hated jiu-jitsu. I didn't want to go. And then I went into it. I did some immersion therapy, 3 days straight, nothing but jiu-jitsu, and literally nothing but jiu-jitsu because there was no time for anything else. And I realized it's not as scary as I thought it was, or maybe that I'm stronger than I thought I was. But either way, I went into it. I'm less afraid now. Doing this much jiu-jitsu, meeting this many people has got me kind of seeing a new relationship between those things. A lot of like the shyness that I have experienced, especially as a child and I've really worked on, a lot of that shyness comes from a fear of conflict. If I like introduce myself to somebody, what if they don't like me? I think that I have been viewing things like conflict and confrontation as predetermined. Like the outcome is already set. They're either gonna like me or they're not, and there's not really anything I can do to change that. But that's just not true, and I think jiu-jitsu is showing me that. You know, in jiu-jitsu, if you just accept your position on the bottom, you don't fight to get on top, you're missing the point. And I think I have rolled like that in the past. I found myself just thinking this person's gonna win because they're better than me, they've been training longer, and then just finding myself kind of less aggressive in that role, more accepting of what's happening. But it's important to have that fighting spirit still. That like, I'm gonna put in the effort to make a change here. And I might not succeed, it might not be perfect, but I'm gonna try. And I just don't really think I had seen that as an option before, which is maybe a weird thing to say, but I think that everybody could probably find something in their life that they view as predetermined without even really recognizing it. And I think jiu-jitsu is starting to show me that there's really not that much that is predetermined. I can fight for anything and everything that I think is worth it. It's showing me that there are pathways to make a change, to put in that effort and to fight. And not only that, but it's possible and it can even become probable that I can do it. I did it in a role. I did it with somebody physically on top of me in a sport that I knew nothing about 6 months ago. So what's to say I can't do that in any other area of my life?
We always think we can't handle it, right? And unless you are shown that, or you find something in which that you can show yourself that, like you're always gonna be afraid.
There's something about like meeting these challenges and overcoming them that like just makes you feel powerful.
Enduring anything difficult is always gonna have good results. It always it always changes you as a person. So like hardship is good for you, and I feel like in Jiu-Jitsu it's very literal, right? It's not like life hardship, it's like you're getting squished hardship, like it's much more literal.
It prepares you for challenges too, you know. I faced a lot of challenges on my own journey, and it helps you get through it because you're getting the crap beat out of you, and sometimes you're on top and sometimes you're down, and sometimes you're really uncomfortable, and it, you know, get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
When you come in here and you get on these mats and you're like fighting someone and you're trying not to get choked, everything out there it's external. It doesn't even matter, because this is like, oh, I'm fighting, almost fighting for my life in here.
Being in bottom mount was very uncomfortable for me for a very long time, but like learning to stay calm in those situations, you can kind of take that and apply it to everyday life.
Just yesterday we were talking in women's class about just not having panic attacks when someone is on top of us. If I can survive a big dude just laying on top of me and like not panicking, that's gonna help me in life. Like a board meeting is gonna be nothing.
In October of 2020, I was diagnosed, well, we started the diagnostic process for major neurodegenerative disorder caused by young onset Alzheimer's. I have Alzheimer's and I'm young, that's all it means. I think most people would go into a severe depression if you're being told, hey, you know, you have a prognosis of where you're gonna die 5 to 7 years from now. It's literally what's called the long goodbye. You're gonna lose all your memories. You're not gonna know who you are. Your mind's going to stop sending signals to your body and all your bodily functions are gonna stop. Like, it's a horrible way to die, let's be honest. But I think the jiu-jitsu and this inherent fighting has helped me not to cave, you know, like I know that there are hard things. Like when you're physically hard and you're physically straining, and most people don't get to that point in their lives. But when you literally can't breathe because someone is stacking you or crushing you and you can't get your arm out and you're like, why am I doing this? My whole body hurts. You know that you have to keep fighting, and I think that has definitely transferred over into my battle with Alzheimer's.
It takes strength, not just physically, but it takes mental strength and emotional strength to get through, you know, some tough positions in jiu-jitsu. It takes strength to really overcome yourself sometimes. Like, you can get in your own way with jiu-jitsu.
One of the hardest things like I've faced in jiu-jitsu is just not giving up. Like when I get stuck in a bad situation, just keep moving and work through it. And just learning that skill has helped me so much in life.
Okay, it's not over. Breathe, control, and figure out a detail on how to regain what I need to move forward instead of just totally giving up.
You can try as many times as you want in jiu-jitsu. That is literally the art of it, is trying new things and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. It teaches you to be more creative in your own life as well, because you realize if something doesn't work, like, it's okay. You just try something else, try it again.
In one manner or form, we all are dealing with some sort of insecurity, some sort of shyness, some sort of, battle within our own mind that I'm not good enough. And jiu-jitsu is a vehicle for showing you, girl, you are.
We are back in Indianapolis today, and I am on my way to Role Model Grappling Camp.
We run Role Model Women's Only Grappling Camp. Our Indy base camp is the largest women's only camp in the world. So we have 250 women come from all over to Indianapolis. Like, not a vacation destination necessarily. All day Friday we do sit-down workshops, because a lot of times you don't get to learn that side of jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu has been a tool for me in my recovery, while also demonstrating to me things that I have yet to work on. If I can fight through bottom side people and not lose my, and decide to tap and just fail, then I can get through self-harm. I can stop myself, I can do that. And it just really, really taught me that I'm capable of way more than
It kind of blows my mind that in a sport where there really aren't that many women want to get together.
It started out in this gym with about 50 women,
And we did that for the first like 6 maybe. And then we brought in Emily Kwok for one, and it blew up. We had 160 at that one. And it was like, okay, we need a bigger space. So now we rent out a convention hotel. Like it's massive.
Today is our last day of our 2 weeks here in Nashville, and I have learned and grown so much while I've been here. I honestly think the biggest change for me these couple weeks is just that I feel less apologetic for showing up and for being there. It's hard to feel like you belong in jiu-jitsu when you're new, and especially traveling to these gyms. I think I finally started to feel like my journey is worth something too, even though it's not the same as all the people who are at this one gym. My journey is still worth something too, and I deserve to be there. Another 2 weeks have gone by. This time we are in Memphis, Tennessee. The ladies have been so welcoming and nice, and even to the point where on my first class, I showed up, went through my bag, realized I had no pants. I guess I just packed my gi top. So one of the girls there, Julie, lent me her extra gi pants, which was really nice because I really did not want to do jiu-jitsu pantsless. So shout out to Julie, thank you so much for the pants. I'm now about 10 months into my jiu-jitsu journey, and I think I am finally past that really difficult point of just never wanting to show up, of like wanting to do anything but show up to jiu-jitsu. I still feel a little bit like reticent to go to a new gym, but it's not nearly as strong as it has been, and it's really starting to feel like jiu-jitsu is just becoming a part of life, just like a normal thing, which is really cool. It's such a hard thing, and I guess I never really felt like it was gonna just feel normal. Houston has been just an incredibly welcoming town. Everybody has been so excited about the documentary too, and just like really wanting to learn more about it and see what we're doing. And one of the really cool things about Houston here is that there is this open mat, Hue Femme Open Mat. It's just a monthly open mat where women from all across Houston come together and just roll. It's super casual, you just hang out and you just like get to train with new people, which, I mean, for me, I get that all the time, but I know that's really rare, and especially if, you know, you're a girl at a gym where it's all guys or mostly guys. It's a really great opportunity, and I just think it's so awesome that they made that happen here.
We started back in 2018, so those few years ago, the women's jiu-jitsu community in Houston, it was big, but it wasn't connected. We were all friendly, but there wasn't really anything that we can all get together and meet up and, you know, just hang out and socialize with each other on the mats.
Especially a lot of females in jiu-jitsu, we're not used to training with other females because it is such a male-dominated sport still. And you know, you may have a couple female training partners, but when you go to compete, it's like, what is this? This body is like mine, they're shaped differently, they move differently. And so we wanted to create something where you could go in and train with other females from other schools, all different ranks, without any speeches, you know, no seminars, just show up, train. And that's kind of how we got started.
Really, Stephanie's the one that led the way. You know, she kept the heartbeat going in the initial phases because I had a newborn at home. And then it just kind of blew up. I would say after COVID, it really kind of hit the ground.
Everyone is so close here in Houston, especially the women in the jiu-jitsu community. It's like they just know all about each other and they're ready to recommend each other and support each other, and you know, they cross-train a bunch too, and it's a really cool community down here. And there is a ton of jiu-jitsu. Houston has been a really fun place to train. Now we are back in Bradenton, Florida. It has been about a year since I took my first jiu-jitsu class here, and now I am back. This is the first gym that I have gone back to after having been gone for so long and training so long. I'm definitely nervous. I want to prove that I have learned things over the year, that they haven't seen me. And of course, just like with jiu-jitsu, it'll never feel like enough. There's always things that I haven't learned yet, but I think I could be perfect and come back and still have that feeling. I think that's just jiu-jitsu. First time going back to a familiar gym after being away. Hope it goes well. This happened tonight, which is insane to me. So we showed up tonight, and of course we walk in and the head coach, Sunny, is like, hey, you've been training for about a year. Let's see how you're doing. So right after class, my first roll, he's like, come up to the front, let me watch you roll. And of course I was rolling with a purple belt who pretty much murdered me. And I honestly didn't even feel like it was one of my better rolls. Like I didn't feel like I was defending super well. I was, distracted and nervous, which is just not ideal. And then I also rolled with Coach Sunny. I really didn't even feel like those were two of my better rolls. And then Sunny goes back and gets this and says, I'm a blue belt now. Definitely don't feel like I'm good enough to be a blue belt. To be honest, I don't really know how to feel about it. But I've talked to enough people that I think that that's pretty standard. I think especially getting your first belt promotion seems to be across the board just a pretty confusing, especially undeserved feeling time.
I tell people, like, especially like the girls, you know, if they just get a promotion or stripe or whatever, and like, oh, I don't feel like I'm ready. And I'm like, that's when you are ready, is when you feel like you aren't.
A lot of people, when you get your next belt, they feel like they haven't earned it, and they feel like they're not that belt. My husband describes it the best way in that just because you got your blue belt or just because you got your purple belt doesn't mean you're a purple belt. It means you're ready to start that journey, because it's a long time, versus some other martial arts where it's a quick time in between belts. You know, our belts are pretty long comparative to most places. And that means you're ready to start that purple belt journey. That means you're ready to start that brown belt journey. That means you're ready to start that black belt journey.
You know, he did tell me ahead of time, you're 6 months away from getting your black belt. You know, it's gonna be this year you're getting your black belt. And I'm just like, can we not? At first I was like, no, I'm not ready. And then I started thinking, like, if my coach decides that I'm ready for it, then I deserve it. So I competed a lot at brown belt, and I won some and lost some, and so I've been like, no, I should be winning all of them at brown belt if I'm going to be a black belt. But I come in here and my technique is there and stuff like that.
People keep comparing themselves with the others, and the parents keep comparing their kids with the others. Everybody's different. Everybody has your own time of learning. You can't compare yourself with the others. The most important thing, I tell the parents, I tell the students, are you better today than yesterday? Yes. Good. That's the most important thing. If you see yourself getting better, that's what you're looking for.
When you're the blue belt, and then like the white belt taps you. I'm not a blue belt. No, you're a blue belt. You're a blue belt. It's fine. Or you're a purple belt and the blue belt keeps passing your guard. You're still a purple belt. Your journey has nothing to do with theirs. And once you can separate that with life as well, it becomes so much less stressful and your soul just becomes so much more happy.
There's so many positions I'm still lost in, which sounds like kind of almost demoralizing, right? It's like I feel like I have so much to learn, and I'm a black belt and I'm a world champion and I have so much to learn and I still feel like I know nothing. That's crazy, right? But that's also amazing, and I think it actually takes the pressure off when people come in and they have these expectations. I should be this, I should get it this quickly. Well, I'll tell you one thing, I'm a terrible driller. If someone shows me a technique, I don't know what you just showed me. And again, I'm a black belt, and maybe I should know.
I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert. I would say, if anything, that I've just learned to be a lot more comfortable with the fact that I don't always know what I'm doing. I've learned to be more vulnerable and let go of the things that I don't understand. And maybe because I've walked that path of uncertainty for a bit longer, people look at me and they say, well, she's better at not knowing what the hell's going on, so let's follow her. But I don't know shit. You know, I still get terrified when I have to go teach, and I'm like, I don't know anything. What am I going to show today?
So it's been about a month since I got my blue belt, and I'm actually kind of starting to feel like a blue belt. I am starting to feel like I actually know a little bit of jiu-jitsu. The roles are interesting and different and like a puzzle, and not just like trying to stay alive or feeling lost. It feels like the game, like the art form. It's been really fun. I think the other way that I'm really feeling like a blue belt lately is, it's kind of the thing that a lot of upper belts make fun of blue belts for. I've just been really enjoying working with newer people to teach them things and to show them that like how difficult jiu-jitsu is in the beginning. It doesn't last forever, and it's totally normal. And that's crazy because like to them, I'm the one who's past that stage. I'm the one who knows the things and who can like thwart anything they're trying to do. And it is so cool to be on the other side of that. It's almost cathartic to like see that stage that was so difficult for me and how far I've come past that. Today, I am going out to San Antonio, to 10th Planet San Antonio for the Girls and Gis event. I have been wanting to go to a Girls and Gis event for so long, and we just haven't been in the right spot at the right time to be at one. So when I saw that there's one here in San Antonio while we're in Texas, I was really excited, and I signed up for that right away.
So Ashley Freeman is the founder of Girls and Gis. She started it with the initiative of, I want more women to train with. How can I do this? I don't want it to just be about my gym and me inviting people into my gym. And she came up with the Girls and Gis name. And it was super informal, it was super casual, and it was just a group of us women. And back in 2009 when it started, I mean, there was 15 women on the mats, and that was huge in Texas. She brought together the Dallas girls, she brought together the Austin girls, she brought together the Hixsons, because there weren't that many of us, and that was 15 from the whole state back then, and we were like, oh, I've never seen this many women, you know? And it was super informal, there was no organization to it, and it was a really awesome idea, but Ashley's kind of life went in a different direction. Where I come in is I built the Girls and Gis organization that was built around Ashley's foundation, which was phenomenal, you know, and like I said, it's exactly how we do it today. It's about giving women leadership opportunities, it's about bringing us together, it's about encouraging brand new women to come in. I mean, the benefits of what we do is phenomenal.
We went up to Phoenix to train at Checkmat Phoenix with Karen Antunes. The type of class that they did was not something that I had done before. It was like a drilling specific class. You know, instead of focusing in on one technique, you're drilling kind of like a lot of basics to get the muscle memory and also build up the muscle strength and endurance for doing that movement. So it was really interesting, and it totally kicked my ass, but I really enjoyed getting to see a new kind of format for that class. We took a little overnight trip out to San Diego, which was awesome. I got to train at Gracie South Bay with Leticia Ribeiro, which was super intimidating. I mean, just for starters, knowing that Leticia is one of the top competitors in the world and is in the IBJJF Hall of Fame, has trained top competitors. I am not a competitor. So walking into that environment, I was already intimidated. Then this is one of the most uniform gyms I've ever seen. It looks amazing, but like everybody has matching gis, they all have these yellow scrunchies, and it was all added up to be a very intimidating vibe. But this was the most welcoming gym that I have been to in my travels. I got one of those yellow scrunchies. Leticia let me borrow one of her gis because I had a black gi instead of the white or blue ones that's required at the school. Everybody knew that we were coming and welcomed us, said hi, even got to talk a little bit about the project, just about like what it means and why I'm doing this, and I got to hear from them about how training Jiu-Jitsu has changed their lives in so many different ways. One of the favorite experiences, for sure.
We did a little bit self-defense today, which I think, you know, like any girl that doesn't do jiu-jitsu, if they have a situation that they have their back on the floor and they think in their mind, I'm done, you know, and for us it's different. If you put my back on the mat, on the floor, and I'm okay because I know that I can use my legs.
What people don't understand about martial arts is that it gives you a certain level of confidence, right? So when I walk around, I have my head up, my shoulders back. Like, I walk around with a different sense of confidence than somebody that doesn't train or that somebody that doesn't know self-defense moves. It's almost like that's my first shield, right? People don't even mess with me because I just kind of look like I know what I'm doing.
Just the act of doing something that they never thought they could do, even if it's not technically at a level that could do anything. It's just the fact that they have the confidence knowing, I did this, that completely changes their demeanor. And when you see that, they don't look like a victim. Like, these are not the kind of people that you're gonna pick on.
Jiu-Jitsu is amazing for self-defense. It is very real-world realistic, and you get to practice it at 100% capacity.
I mean, that's like the objective thing that makes this different than all of the other martial arts, is that you can do it against a resisting opponent. And not that the other ones aren't beautiful and have really, really cool applications, but being able to do it against a resisting opponent, giving you the confidence to be able to do it if you ever needed to, I mean, it's just, there's no other one that even comes close to that.
If you do like a seminar, a self-defense seminar as a woman, once in a year, if something happened on the street, outside, you're not gonna react. Your body doesn't know how to fight, you're not used to. Like, at least 2 times a week, get some training. So when something happens, your body knows what to do, muscle memory, you're gonna do something. To really work, you have to be consistent, like everything in life.
A lot of the self-defense, 2-hour seminars that you might take on a Saturday with a group of girls, you might learn a thing or two that's a little bit helpful, but if you're not doing those things live every single night or close to every single night, it's not gonna help you if that ever happens to you. So the way that you train Jiu-Jitsu, like, you're very prepared for these things to be happening because they happen to you every single night in 5-minute increments as long as you're willing to stay and keep doing it.
As a woman, I sometimes get parents or young girls that come through and parents are like, oh, my daughter's going to college in a couple years, can you teach her something? And I'm like, a seminar on how to, do a trachea chop is not gonna, not gonna really teach her anything. But I'm like, if you're interested in developing a practice, it can really help her understand the limitations and also the power behind her own actions and what she's capable of doing.
You don't want someone always there to help you. You can help yourself, right? So that's why even my daughter, she's 5 and she hates Jiu-Jitsu for now. But I don't care, it's part of her routine. I don't care one day if she's gonna be a competitor or stuff. I wanna make sure when she's by herself, she can protect her, and don't need nobody to be there for her.
So there have been a lot of changes over the last few weeks and months. First big one is we bought a house. So after living in our RV for nearly 4 years, traveling the country full time, Tyler and I have settled down here in Bastrop, Texas with our first stationary house. And since moving here, we got connected with someone who owns this really cool kind of fitness space. He's been really interested in getting a jiu-jitsu gym into that space. We were super excited about that idea. We met an amazing black belt named Ray Villa. We just started talking, and next thing we know, we are part owners of a jiu-jitsu gym here in Bastrop. It has been so cool to, even though we're both so new to jiu-jitsu, to bring our own skill sets and experiences in business and marketing to help Ray build this gym. One thing that was so important to my jiu-jitsu journey was just being able to train with other women. You know, I've heard all these badass stories of these women who have come up in jiu-jitsu as, you know, the only girl in an all-guys gym, and that is insanely intimidating to me, and I don't think I would have been able to stick it out if that had been my situation. So I am hosting a women's only class. I know how important it is to have that kind of environment for women to start in. For so many of us, the dudes are so much more intimidating, and I think the sport in general is intimidating enough.
I would not have started jiu-jitsu if it wasn't for a women's class. And I know that's the case for a lot of women. And that's the case for a lot of women who are more timid than myself, you know? And that's why when people ask me, how do I get more women in my gym? I say, start a women's class and get a woman to teach it.
That was real hard in the beginning when I started my women's class. And I didn't start my women's class to be the leader or be the teacher. I wanted more women so I had more training partners. I tell everyone it was a very selfish reason that it happened.
I wanted more women to train with, you know? I was at a school where there was like, you know, 5 other guys I could roll with. So I wanted more women. I wanted more women in our area. I wanted more women to see what jiu-jitsu was about, get into it so that I had more training partners.
Just talking to a lot of women that were nervous about starting. We just wanted to give a safe place for them to be able to train and get started. Even if they eventually move to the co-ed classes, great, but I kind of wanted to expand and have a safer place for women to start.
When I first started, I was just it was just me, the only female on the mat with a whole bunch of dudes, you know, getting manhandled and stuff like that. And then now seeing how many women are on our mats every day, it amazes me.
When I started, sometimes I would be the only woman on the mat. And so it was really important for the coaches and, you know, especially the black, brown, purple belts to just be welcoming. And so that's what I want to do. Anyone who walks in the gym, that's what I try to do.
When I first started jiu-jitsu, I was starting a kids class, so I had maybe 1 or 2 girls in my class, and then when I transitioned up to adult classes, there would always be maybe 1 woman in the room, maybe, on a good day. So I grew up training mostly with men. When women started to enter the scene, it was very exciting because I felt like I had more role models, more accessibility to people for coaching or for just understanding the mindset of what it's like to be a woman in jiu-jitsu.
We are lucky to have a very robust women's community in Tucson and in Southern Arizona. They're always doing some sort of seminar or training, or they have community women's open mats, community women's seminars, self-defense seminars, stuff like that to bring in other women who aren't, you know, maybe haven't been exposed to jiu-jitsu and martial arts.
Jiu-jitsu is challenging, that's why people do it. But I think having that solidarity and having that support from other women is crucial.
It has meant so much to me how many women have welcomed me and supported me and shown me how tough we can be. I still have good days and bad days. I've found I even have good weeks and bad weeks, which is kind of tough to stick it through those bad weeks. But a lot of times it meant so much just to see other women who could hang when I felt like I couldn't, to remind me that I could keep going and that I could be tough. So many women have been there for me throughout my journey, and I feel very proud to be able to pass that on now.
What do you want to say to the women watching this?
Yeah, I think give it a try and find a place that you feel at home in. Most places do like trials of some sort.
Just take that first step, make it onto the mat, make one small goal. Because if you just make that one goal, then you're gonna surprise yourself because you're gonna hit even more goals without even knowing it.
I know it's intimidating to jump on the mat with guys and girls that you don't know, or and some ladies might feel like I'm just not in shape for it, and you don't have to be in shape. Jiu-Jitsu is for every single person.
If you've started, just keep showing up. It's nerve-wracking and there's gonna be a lot of emotional times, but just keep showing up. Even if it's once a week, once a month, just walk through the doors and train.
Go find the women. Go find the women and roll with them.
Time goes by so fast. As long as you stick with it and you keep training, time's just gonna like fly by, and you'll be very happy with yourself if you just stick with it.
Some people say, oh, why you don't train jiu-jitsu? And say, I don't like. How are you gonna like something that you don't know, right? If you don't try, you never know if you like or not, and I think after you try one time, 2 times, and I think you're gonna fall in love, because today we see a lot of women training jiu-jitsu all over the world, and having fun. And why not you?
If you don't like it, at least you tried it, but more often than not, especially the women who are like, I'm gonna hate this, I'm not gonna like it, and then they try it, fall in love with it.
The United States is great. We have female training everywhere. You don't see anything like that in any other country. I travel a lot, and the United States are the biggest one with a lot of female training.
Here, people celebrate Jiu-Jitsu. I love how everyone gets behind their athletes. It's like, you're American, we're rooting for you. There's a little bit of that in the UK, but it's not so big. It's kind of like embarrassing to be confident and believe in yourself. Whereas here, it's much more like celebrated, and it's really nice to see.
Anyone can step on the mat. Anyone can train. They can join a gym, show up to class, learn a few moves. So that's for everyone. It's open to everyone in the world. But it takes a special person to stay on the mat. And I think the special person is someone who is dedicated to themselves. It's about your own journey, knowing what you want, knowing that you can set goals for yourself, and you go after those goals no matter how long it takes you.
I think it's the person that is willing to open themselves up internally about it. And I think women, in addition to that, if they are willing to open themselves up to realize they're a lot stronger mentally and physically and emotionally than they think they are, then they're willing to open themselves up to be good at jiu-jitsu.
If you're practicing today, I hope you're opening the door and keeping it open for other people like you, because it's harder for some women to do this than others. But it's a skill, it's an art that I think we can all benefit from using.
It gives you self-confidence, it gives you self-respect, it gives you that quiet confidence that, I'm gonna be okay. I can take care of myself.
Don't wait for nobody to go save you. Go, it takes a lot, but do a little bit of search, do a little bit of homework, and you're gonna find good places.
Step on the mat, or do something that you are afraid of. I think if you can do that, you will find out how much more power you have.
Anything in life worth doing is scary. It's not gonna feel great in the beginning. If it scares you, that should excite you, because it means it's something different. It's something new.
A lot of times we tend to be stagnant in what we're comfortable in, and sometimes we don't want to push past that comfort level, but in reality, you're not gonna grow unless you push past that comfort level.
Putting yourself kind of outside of your comfort zone is the quickest and easiest way to really have personal growth and advancement in life.
Jiu-Jitsu isn't easy, but I think in that way it really mimics life. Because when things get hard is when we have to decide if we're gonna fight back or if we're gonna give up. And that's Jiu-Jitsu. I don't think any of us show up to Jiu-Jitsu to win, to get submissions. We show up to fight. Because this thing that we fell in love with, this art form, this puzzle, that all happens in between the submissions. The submission is 2 seconds and usually not that interesting compared to everything else that happens in a 5-minute roll. So we show up to fight. We show up to be creative under pressure, to see if we can tough it out through really uncomfortable positions and really see what we can do. And I think in that way, Jiu-Jitsu really does mimic life. We're never gonna get everything we want in life, but we always have the choice to act like the person that we wanna be and fight for what we wanna fight for. And Jiu-Jitsu has taught me how to become a fighter.
I mean, I definitely feel more like a badass.
It's made me more confident that, you know, I've done all these things that I never thought I could do.
I was a completely different person than I am today. Like, I'm way more confident than I ever was.
It built my confidence hugely. I was very, very shy when I started, and I was shy throughout my judo career, so I think it really helped me speaking up for myself. When I've learned to take space in the room and not apologize for it. I'm still a little bit apologetic, but not as much.
It definitely helped me to kind of stand my ground and know that what I believed and my personal moral code was more important than how others saw me.
You know, we're constantly told that, you know, you're too loud, you're too big, you're too small, you're too much of something. Whereas, you know, why not be too much? I'm too strong. You know, I'm too much of a badass, I'm too loud, I'm too aggressive, you know, but that's taken me from a point where I had just a normal life to now I can honestly say I have an extraordinary life.
I started this project thinking I would get to know this sport that molds women into these incredible, fierce warriors. And that's true. I mean, I think everybody that I've talked to, their life has been changed by training jiu-jitsu. For women especially, because there are some unique challenges for us in the sport, there are also unique opportunities for growth. But that's not all I found. Whether you're a world-class competitor or just a hobbyist, it takes an incredible amount of willpower and personal fortitude to not only take that first step onto the mat, but to do it again and again and again. It truly does take an extraordinary person to decide to train jiu-jitsu. But if you are willing to make yourself step on that mat again and again, you'll become even more extraordinary than you already are. And I am so proud to belong to the group of extraordinary women who do that.
Hang your head and pull the blinds. I'm gonna sleep on my respective side.